So yesterday's video titled "This should be new golem meta" received quite a lot of mixed reactions, and I want to explain something. I couldn't do video earlier because I have work, and yeah, I have work on Sundays and Saturdays. So all the players quickly noted that using 5 of these jewels is not really efficient, and you could instead equip something that affects your life, energy shield or damage, and get more benefits. And in most cases that is true. And I don't want to misguide newer players, so that's why I'm making this video. But also, hear me out. Over time we adapted to the game and learned most efficient way to do everything. Most efficient way to make a build, killing the hardest bosses in the game in just a few seconds, face tanking Shaper with instant life reach, all kinds of cookie cutters blade flurry builds. Also, look how people beat Labyrinth. We just move as fast as we can, beating the purpose of those traps. And what I mean by all this, that people stopped exploring the game and just doing what is most effective way. And maybe my statement that this should be the new golem meta came out a little too strong, but it makes me sad seeing people only playing the most effective way. So how about trying something new? Stone golem no doubt has the most potential for all kinds of builds, especially for righteous fires builds. Chaos golem potential is arguable, and people would say that it is more effective to get more life or energy shield instead of just physical damage reduction, because this does not protect you from elemental damage, and having more energy shield or life does help you against elemental damage. So maybe just me, maybe I'm just bored of old ways of making builds. I don't know how old players do not get bored, always the same way of making builds. So by saying that this should be the new golem meta, I didn't mean that it is the most effective way. I just meant that it is something new to look forward, to explore different options. Like for example, labyrinths. Instead of getting as much movement speed as possible and a lot of life, how about you try less life and more life regeneration using stone golem? Let's take another example. Let's take a look at lightning coil armor. Why do people use it? It is because of one only thing. 30% of physical damage taken as lightning damage. Let's use example. You take 2000 physical damage and you have 80% lightning resistance. Now if you are using this armor, instead of taking 2000 damage you would take 1520. So you end up mitigating 480 damage, which is 24% of physical damage mitigation if you have 80% lightning resistance. So that's great, but the rest of armor stats are really not that great. So what if you could use a better armor for your build and still have a decent amount of physical damage reduction? Like I mentioned, with 5 of these jewels, helmet enchantment for Chaos Golem and level 22 Chaos Golem, you can have 16% physical damage reduction. It is still not as good as 24% physical damage reduction, but it might make your build more flexible. And you can disagree with that, not everyone has to like the same things. So that's my short explanation. And to people who think that golems cannot compete with clear speed, wait till you see.